Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Fullerton, California, an inclusive community dedicated to building a better world. I'm Megan Smock. I'm your worship associate today. Whoever you are, however you identify, whether you join us in person or online, you are welcome. UUCF acknowledges that this land is situated in the original ancestral homelands of the Ahachiman, Kizh, and Tongva peoples. May we have the humility and courage to help restore what has been broken and the wisdom to live into a new solidarity with Indigenous communities and the earth. Before we begin our service, I'd like to call your attention to a few brief announcements. Next Sunday, we will be holding a Let's Get Involved event here in the sanctuary immediately after the service. This is an opportunity for you to learn even more about UUCF and volunteer. We will have representatives from all of our teams on hand, and you'll have several minutes to meet with each of them to see not only what they do, but how you might be able to help. Plan to stay and get involved. The Social Action Committee needs your help in determining what area of justice work to focus on in the year ahead. Debbie Longenbacher has paper surveys you can fill out or go online at uufullerton.org/SAC survey to fill it out. And actually, I did it online. It's very easy. It's very simple. It took like 2 minutes. Christina Garner has 30 angel tree cards from Crittenton Services. You can select a child and make their wish come true by purchasing an item they have requested, wrapping or placing it in a gift bag, and returning it to the angel table before December 8. We will celebrate our annual bread communion service on Sunday, December 1st. You're encouraged to bring bread to share, perhaps a family recipe or one from your cultural background. These breads will be used in the service. If you haven't had an opportunity to check out the Gifts That Make a Difference event on the plaza, hosted by First Christian Church, please do so after the service. Several local and global nonprofit organizations are represented. And be sure to read our weekly newsletter online, or you can pick up a printed copy on the red table in the lobby. I'd like to introduce today's guest speaker. It's our own Ellie Searl. Ellie? Ellie has been a UU since 1969, when she and her husband Ed stepped into a UU church in Burlington, Vermont, where they felt they had come home. Ed eventually became a UU minister, serving churches in Youngstown, Ohio, and Hinsdale, Illinois. Ellie holds a bachelor's degree from Syracuse University and a master's degree from Youngstown State University. She has held certificates in teaching, school supervision, K-12 school administration, and counseling. Ellie spent her career in education as a teacher and school counselor. For 10 years, she was active in community theater, both on and off stage. Ellie has been a storyteller throughout her life and is currently a freelance book designer. She recently designed the book Walter on Stone by Evelyn Kane, deceased wife of Gene Kane, the metal sculptor who designed our beautiful chalice. After Ed passed away in 2019, Ellie moved to Brea, California to be near her daughter Katie and her grandchildren Brett and Bridget. She feels privileged to present a message to you about her experiences as a UU minister's wife. We'll be sharing joys and sorrows a little bit later in the service, so if you're in the sanctuary and you'd like to share, The slips are located on the back table, and you can fill them out till the end of time for all ages. If you're joining us online, I invite you to post your joy or sorrow in the comments section. Those of you in the sanctuary are now welcome to take a moment to greet one another.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. I think my mic is testing. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I think my mic testing. Good morning. Oh, it's working. Perfect. Good morning, everyone. I'm so excited to play our music selections today. For those who don't know me, my name is Christine Araoka, and I'm your pianist. And for our opening hymn, we'll be singing hymn number 159, This Is My Song. Please rise in mind, body, or spirit and join us in singing.
This is my song, O God of all the nations, a song of peace for lands afar and wide. This is my home, the country where my heart is. Here are my hopes, my dreams, my holy shrine. But other hearts in
burning both near and far. We light our chalice as a symbol of our faith. May its light be a beacon of hope to the many, those who feel lost, those who feel threat, those who feel tired, those who are uncertain. Though may our beacon of hope help you find home, help you feel safe, give you respite, and honor your searching and mind and spirit. I now invite our guest speaker, Ellie, to light our chalice today. And please join me in saying the affirmation on the screens. This flame affirms the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment. Love is the doctrine that we share. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve human need, thus do we covenant with one another. It is our custom to provide donations of non-perishable food and personal care items for Pathways of Hope, a local food bank. As the children come forward, they are asked to collect the donations placed at the end of the rows. And now the children are invited to come forward for the time for all ages.
From your sea to you again, together we share, and from this we live. From your sea to you again, together we share, and from
Thank you, everyone. I know this is our Thanksgiving food drive, so thank you all for. Ooh, we really got a lot today. Excellent. Oh my gosh, it's still coming. Oh my goodness. You got it, Zayden. That's like when you try and take the groceries in and you take all of the bags. All right. Oh, wow. Hi. Hello. All right. Hello. You can sit next to me if you want, Anya. Do you want to sit here? That's okay. Just hang on to it until we throw it away. Sit right here. There we go. Hi, I'm Megan Watson. I am the teen coordinator here at UUCF. And today, I've been thinking a lot about change. Oh, I'll wait for our friends, Audrey and Benny. Do you guys want to come up here? I'll wait for you. Very unsure faces. All right. So I've been thinking a lot about change, and I've started thinking about like technology. And technology changes a lot. I've seen technology change a lot in my life. Have any of you seen technology change in your lives? Oh, you always get new games. Yeah. So games come out are new. Maybe they look better than the old games. You guys should have seen the video games when I was a kid. You always get new games every day. Oh, wow. That's very lucky. You're like, nah. So I decided to go on a little archaeological dig. And I was digging, yes, literally through my house. And I found some pretty cool fossils, some pretty cool technology fossils. Do you guys want to see these cool technology fossils I found? All right, let's see. I'm going to be real sad right now. Oh, I would love it if you would hold them up. Can you hold these up? There's 4 of them. Can you hold them up? Can you pull them out? Oh. Ancient. Okay, oh my gosh, Josie just said, what are they? Do any of you know what those are? What are they? Are they Blu-ray? They are not Blu-rays. Yeah, there's enough. You could pass them around so they could see it. He needs to see it to inspect it. There is words on it, so maybe that will help you.
Is it a small typewriter?
Yeah. I almost brought a typewriter, but I figured that was too easy. Oh, is it software? Okay, so what you are holding in your hand is an ancient technology. What? Some sort of chip? No. Okay. So I'm old, I guess. What you're holding is a floppy disk or 3.5 inch disc. They are, in fact, friends, just for the adults in the room, they are holding 4 discs that are all the same video game. To play this game, you had to put in one, and then when you finished that part, you took that out and you put in the next one. Wolfenstein 3D. Woo! Oh, you know that game. Okay, whew, not that old. All right, so there is a reason why I'm talking about fossils and why I'm talking about old technology and why I've just embarrassed myself in front of children. So first we had cassettes. Oh my gosh, do you guys know what cassettes are? Oh, thank goodness. And then we had CDs, and then we had MP3 players, and now we just have Spotify. The type of technology changed, but what stayed the same? Something important stayed the same. What stayed the same? Whether I was using a cassette or a CD or an MP3 player, what stayed the same? They're all music, right? They're all technology, but they're all listening to music. Okay, so I'm once again going to date myself. First we had VHS tapes. Do you guys know what VHS tapes are? Kind of. The little black boxes with the circles on it. Yep. Yep. Yes. So we had VHSs, then we had DVDs, now we have Netflix and streaming. Same thing. Technology changed, but they're all ways that we could watch movies or we could watch TV shows. We had these floppy disks, then we had thumb drives, then we had Google Drive, and they're all ways that we can save information, share it with other people. So the things that are most important will always stay the same, even if the technology changes. In Unitarian Universalism, hey, look, I'm connecting it to what we're, okay. We had the 7 principles since 1985. We had them for a very long time, since we made the switch from cassettes to CDs. But now we have a new technology for our faith. The Article 2 technology is our 7 new values. They are pluralism, interdependence, equity, transformation, justice, generosity, and right in the center, love, or J. Piglet, as it has become known in our RE classes. Yeah, from Josie, made J. Piglet. So change is hard. It can be uncomfortable, and like any time we learn a new technology, it can take a little while to adjust. Yes, but we know as long as we commit to move forward together in love, we can change and change again and again, and what we love will stay just the same, even if the technology changes. Now let's sing you off to your classes. Yes, it's from 1992. Yes, it's old.
Go with wisdom, go with wonder, go to meet a brand new day. Learn to see the light within you as we send you on your way. Go with wisdom, go with wonder, go to meet a brand new day. Learn to see the light within you as we send you on your way.
We begin by lighting a candle for all our concerns for the larger world, our wish for peace and justice, our hopes for the children who will inherit this planet. May this candle represent all those wishes and calls to action that are more than we can articulate in this space. And now let us share the personal joys and sorrows in our lives. Ramon Gallegos says, Camp de Veneville was a wonderful, necessary break with wonderful people. Linda Summers says, the sign-up sheet for guests for First Circle Dinner on January 11th, 2025 is on the welcome table after the service. And Mary Bott says, had a wonderful time at Camp de Benneville. A small group, with 5 congregations represented. Wonderful to be with like-minded people after the election. And I checked online, and there were not any comments on either Facebook or Zoom. We now light one more candle for all those joys, concerns, and sorrows that remain unexpressed but are still held close to our hearts. And now please join in saying the affirmation on the screen. We join you in celebrating your joys. May you feel our love and compassion for your sorrows and concerns. For all that is spoken and unspoken, may the caring of our beloved community sustain us all.
Let us move into the spirit of meditation, reflection, and prayer. You may close your eyes, take a deep breath, whatever helps you find your center. These are days of memory. It has always been so for our kind. After the leaves have fallen, the nights are long, and in the darkness we remember. These are days of reflection. The long horizontal rays of the afternoon sun spill across the earth with the golden light of memory. A chilling breeze at twilight stirs the ground cover of leaves, stirring also our thoughts. The elusive beauty of red sunsets we would hold if only we could. But darkness seeps from below the horizon. Day turns into dusk and to night. So we remember. In our minds, in the golden light of memory, we affirm the eternal beauty of the lives of those who have died. and the goodness of the days that were. These are the days of memory, of reflection, of affirmation. It has always been so for our kind after the leaves have fallen.
If only for the season, let us banish cynicism and welcome wonder. If only for the season, let us downplay our differences and discover bonds of common origin and continuing cause. If only for the season, let us deny apathy and indifference and truly live by loving. If only for the season, let us set aside worry and smile and laugh and sing. If only for the season, let us subvert greed and jealousy and be good gift getters and givers. If only for the season, the brief season of light, of life, of love. Let us be wise enough to be a little foolish about candlelight and children and matters of the heart. If only for the season.
It truly is a privilege to speak to you today. How to put 35 years as a UU minister's wife into a short message. I have many stories to tell and so little time. Someone said, sounds like a book, and maybe it is. I hadn't thought my life interesting enough to fill a two-fold brochure, much less a book. So to keep within the boundaries, I'll offer a few vignettes that capture the essence of what it was like to be married to a UU minister. Ed began his internship at the Unitarian Church of Syracuse, New York. Katie was in 3rd grade, and I found a job as an orthodontist assistant. Ed was excited to start his new career as a minister, and I was happy to provide financial support. About a month after our arrival, a coworker invited me to lunch with several other women. At first, the gathering was lovely. Chilled Chardonnay, delightful banter, exchange of personal stories, which led to gossip, off-color expletives, and some dirty jokes. I felt right at home. Amused and delighted to be among such fun, charming women, maybe I could make some friends here. About halfway through the meal, right after a rather crude witticism from one of the women, our host announced, "You know, Ellie's a minister's wife." All chatting stopped, dead. Guests stared at their chicken salad. Forks and knives clinked onto plates. Silence hurt my ears. Finally, someone spoke. "I've been reading the Bible. It's fascinating." Another announced, "My church group is studying the New Testament." Another, "I love saying the Lord's Prayer," followed by a table of nodding heads and several, "So do I," and Again, silence. Paralyzed by indecision, I couldn't drudge up a response. Did they know about the Unitarians, and should I tell them? Someone chimed in. "Sorry about all the nasty comments and swearing." I don't remember what I said, but I do remember feeling uncomfortable having just been placed on a pedestal of piousness. I wanted to say something that would lower me to earth, but the right words wouldn't come. Should I confess I hadn't read much of the Bible? Spout off a few choice vulgarities? Tell an even dirtier joke? How to be me, Ellie, a normal woman whose husband had just taken a new job, and who cared what the job was. Apparently these women cared, and was this what I should expect from now on from people? That ministers' wives weren't ordinary, that they were somehow Bible-reading saints, overly godlike and divine? At the time, I worried I would stay on that pedestal, living under some celestial label. I had to find a way to find solid ground. Ed started his actual ministry at the UU Church of Youngstown, Ohio, in September of 1977. I didn't like Youngstown, a steel town where smokestacks belched clouds of iron ore debris. Street gutters ran streams of rusty water when it rained. But rust meant prosperity because the mills were working. Back in the heat and humidity of July, while Ed had his interview with the search committee, I killed time in the mezzanine of Strauss, the city's main department store. I watched the shoppers and feared I was going to become one of them, that I'd end up living in this city. Having grown up in the beauty of the Adirondack Mountains, I didn't want a steel town to be my settling down place. But I knew Ed wanted the job, and I knew I'd support him and make the best of it. We rented a 3-bedroom apartment a mile from the church and a few blocks from Katie's school. Ed signed his contract on September 19th, 1977, that famous Black Monday, the very day Youngstown Iron Sheet and Tube, a large steel company, announced it was shutting down, putting over 5,000 men and women out of work. It was as if an evil force had swooped into the minds and souls of the city and dumped everyone's bucket of happiness and economic survival into the Mahoning River. However, one of the garden spots of Youngstown was our new church. It became a respite from the unpleasantness of the city's decay. And so at Christmas time, Ed and I gave them a party. It was an open house. A man named Bill phoned that afternoon and asked if he could bring a couple of friends. Sure, I said, of course, everyone's welcome. I didn't know Bill, but I was glad someone would show up. People began arriving a little after 5. Soon a low hum of conversation mixed with Gustav Holst's The Planet's filled the rooms, reminding me that being with friends, especially during the holidays, was a gift, regardless of the sadness beyond the door. I stood back and smiled at the sights and sounds. Lovely table filled with an array of tasty foods, people drinking, laughing, celebrating the holidays. Then 3 strangers bolted into the apartment. 2 men and a woman. With supreme boldness, they swept in and spread out like they had predetermined parking spots. The shorter man headed for the living room and stood in front of the fireplace, hands groping the air for warmth. The taller, Hulk-like man slunk behind the dining room door and stood there, shoulders hunched, arms dangling in front of him as though about to direct a choir. He rested his chin against his chest and gaped at the crowd from under his eyebrows with a dull, menacing glare, like an eagle watching over its prey. The woman made a beeline for the buffet and without pause circled the table, scooping food with the right hand and dumping it into her widespread left hand turned plate. I was at once horrified and fascinated at this turn of events. Bizarre man in the living room, tall man standing in rigor mortis behind the dining room door, little woman deftly swooping food from the buffet. Who were they? Were they dangerous? Should I call the police? Ed sidled up to me. That's Rose and Bill's in the living room. Don't worry, they're harmless. They live together in government housing, and they go to everything in Youngstown that has free food. They must have seen our open house advertised in the newsletter. They're always at our potlucks, but they never bring anything. He gestured to the man behind the door. I don't know him, but if he's a friend of Bill and Rose, he's okay. I thought about the phone call earlier that day. It had been Bill, who wanted to celebrate Christmas with his friends, just like the rest of us. Bill, Rose, and Lurking Man had come to my party to feel the warmth and joy of the season, just like the rest of us. Shame hit my face like a hot washcloth. Who was I to feel superior to 3 people in need? Was this not an open house? Did I not welcome them before I knew who they were? I walked over to Rose. Here, let me help you, I said. I piled a plate with food and led her to an easy chair. I took a plate to the man hovering in the corner. He smiled but didn't want to sit down. Bill found his way into the dining room and with the grace of a long-practiced buffet guest began filling his own plate. I introduced myself and we fell into a conversation about adding nuts to brownies. The hum of the party regained its harmony and rhythm, laughs, music, and good conversation. It was an open house. In the pulpit, Ed was a true professional, distinguished and dignified. He delivered well-researched, thoughtful sermons and meditations with decorum and poise. He was an excellent writer and a published author. At home, Ed let loose his inner child through humor and silliness. He made jokes about the idiosyncrasies of life, and he took on alter egos, sometimes speaking in their voices and acting out their strange personalities. Once when Katie was 11 we sat together during church, she watched her dad for a while in the pulpit, and then she whispered to me, "Do you think people would believe it if they saw the real daddy?" The real daddy liked to go exploring and absorb the beauty of the Ohio landscape. Ed, Katie, and I took road trips through Amish country, as much as I worried about the slow decay of Youngstown and that I might die there. These countryside jaunts helped revive my spirits. Ed needed respite from his job as much as I needed respite from my job as his support. In October 1980, we bought a house in Poland, a small village in the suburbs of Youngstown. One afternoon, while Ed was at church and Katie was in middle school, I raked leaves in our new front yard. I heard a shout from across the street. "Hey, Do you people believe in Jesus Christ? I stopped raking and looked up. She stood in her doorway, hands on hips, feet planted square like a drill sergeant, as if my answer might knock her over. A full-length flower-dusted apron covered her dress. Of course we do, I said. He was a great leader and teacher. Everyone should follow his example. Good answer, I thought. Can't argue with that. I continued raking. But do you all believe that the Bible is the Word of God? I dragged a bunch of leaves into a pile. Great book, the Bible, I said, and stretched the rake toward some thin branches at the base of a sugar maple. Lots of good stories, good lessons. I flashed Sunday school where I colored pictures of Jesus giving bread and wine to the hungry throng, especially for children, I said. So far, so good. I hoped she'd go back to her biscuits. What about the miracles? Do you guys believe in miracles? I hadn't memorized my 30-second elevator speech about being a Unitarian Universalist. Having been brought up a Methodist, I knew what the traditional world thought of people who ventured into what was considered pagan territory, blasphemy. I still struggled with putting my religious philosophy into concepts that described my spiritual leanings in such a way that those of the Christian faith wouldn't view me as a wicked, irreverent heathen who was not only hell-bent for, say, hell, but was also shouldn't be left alone with fire and children. I nodded my head. Well, now weren't they just wonderful, those miracles, I said. Changed a lot of people's lives, they did. It became obvious after a few weeks in our new community that the neighbors were afraid of people like us, people who looked at the world through liberal, non-creedal eyes, people who didn't go to a recognizable Christian church. A few days after we had moved in, we were visited by a lady from the welcome wagon. She handed me a basket of goodies and a list of the churches in town. We have lovely churches here, she said. If you're a Methodist, there's a beautiful one across town. Episcopalian, now that's right around the corner. And First Presbyterian is between Piggly Wiggly and the cemetery. Finally, I said, we go to the Unitarian Church in the city. My husband is the minister there. The visitor gasped and stepped back in recoil, her face aghast. Are there any more of you people around here? I thought back to that lunch where I was put on a pedestal for being a minister's wife, and it occurred to me that, in their minds, I was a Christian minister's wife, not a heathen's minister's wife. And now it was time for me to explain to my apron-clad neighbor that I was a decent American who wasn't about to throw a match into my pile of leaves and dance around the flames. How to put my beliefs into a few succinct words to prove I'm as good as any person around, that she needn't be afraid. Should I just spout off the then 7 principles of the UUism, the principles that UU congregations around the world affirm and promote, respected principles that most people live by anyway, regardless of their religious affiliations? Or are my beliefs too radical, too wild, too outlandish for this traditional faith and creed-centered community? Rather than fill the air with what could be perceived as holier-than-thou platitudes, I walked across the street, smiled, and stretched out my hand. I'm Ellie, I said. What's your name? I figured that was a good place to start. Ed was a minister at the Youngstown Church for 5.5 years, and as much as I continued to dislike the city, I came to love the people, even Bill and Rose, and Lurking Man, who began bringing English muffins to our potlucks after Ed told them it was important to contribute. In February 1983, Ed began his ministry at the UU Church of Hinsdale, a suburban town 17 miles west of Chicago. I was relieved to leave Youngstown and delighted to move to a place not suffering from the citywide trauma and decline. Living in the Chicago suburbs was exciting, interesting, and stimulating. My world was centered around my separate life as a teacher and counselor, and my ongoing life as a UU minister's wife. There was never a time that ministry was not an integral part of my existence. My memories are wrapped in a one-direction trajectory, that of a minister's support. I was a consummate churchgoer, a significant presence at coffee hour, church potlucks, and fundraisers. At any given time, I was an ear for congregants. Some would want modifications in church policies and to please tell Ed. Some would inform me Ed missed a point in his message and to please let Ed know. Some would want a special Sunday topic and to please tell Ed to write that sermon. Some apparently checked up on me, wondering why I hadn't attended a particular event. And for 35 years, I was Ed's plus one at wedding receptions, memorial services, and child dedications. I accompanied Ed when he gave invocations at the NAACP dinners and events for senators. Ed even gave the invocation at a dinner for then Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich, albeit before Blago was indicted on corruption charges and sent to prison. I can't imagine a different existence. I don't know what it would have been like to enjoy free weekends, to be able to pick up and travel at random times of the year, or to be anonymous, to be a nobody and not a label. I was always a somebody, whether I wanted to be or not. I was the minister's wife with capital letters. But eventually I came to realize how significant that was, and I welcomed the moniker. I was, after all, a minister's wife. Thank you.
We know that our financial contributions to this congregation come from sacrifice and hard work. We are so grateful for this and commit together to ensure the funds we gather collectively do a greater good for ourselves and for our world than they could have done alone. May this be an offering to sustain and grow the life and mission of this congregation. As you can see, pay options are available on the screen as well. And may we give in love and in hope.
For our closing hymn, we'll be singing hymn number 311, Let It Be a Dance. Please rise in mind, body, or spirit and join us in singing.
Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Let a dancing song be heard. Play the music, say the words, and feel the Feel the rhythm, feel the need to reap the harvest, plant the seed. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Everybody turn and spin. Let your body learn to bend. And like a willow with the wind. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. A child is born, the old must die. A time for joy, a time to cry. Take it as it passes by. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Morning star comes out at night. Without the dark there is no light. If nothing's wrong, then nothing's right. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let the sun shine, let it rain. Share the laughter, bear the pain. And round we go again. Let it be a dance.
Today, our caring listener is Mary Potts. You can speak to her after the service if you have any concerns or would simply like someone to talk to. And trust that whatever you share is always confidential. Please join hands if you wish. May you sometimes find the world to be so beautiful, you want it to be more so, more often, for more persons. We now extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts wherever we may go. Amen, shalom, salam, namaste, and blessed be. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Go now in peace, go now in peace, go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Please join us for our social hour.